Okay, I just gotta say it. I just gotta say it. Given the just stratospheric entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris into the presidential campaign, and she has now secured enough delegates to become the nominee, you're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color, but really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side. The door needs to close behind Amber. And she looked crazy over there. But shut the door behind her. You really are going to look crazy being on that side, given the cultural phenomenon of Vice President Kamala Devi Harris. She's about to make history. She's about to become the first woman president. She brings together the African American community, the AAPI community, younger people. She is a whole meme. And I'm going to explain to y'all the coconut tree is a whole West Indian thing. She brings together all of the aspects of the culture. HBCUs, she's a Howard graduate. The Divine Nine, she's an AKA. She is a woman of color extraordinaire. She would be the first person from HBCU, regular real world, to be president of the United States, in addition to being the first woman president, in addition to being the first Black woman president, in addition to being the first AAPI president. She's bringing it all. And very importantly, she will be the first woman president after the fall of Roe v. Wade. A woman who brings women back to power after having our power stripped from us by 6 far right wingers on the Supreme Court, including one woman who turned on us. Baby, this is a cultural moment. Don't be on the wrong side of history. Don't find yourself on that lonely side, because you're going to look real crazy over there with Kid Rock and discount DJ Khaled.
It's the mayor of Magaville, baby. Hey, you know who we voting for? We voting Donald Trump, baby. America needs saving. America needs saving.
He's like bargain basement DJ Khaled. Sad. You don't want to be over there. People gonna look crazy. I know 50 Cent is thanking his lucky stars and God Almighty that he did not go and perform at that RNC convention, because you look real crazy over there. But y'all go ahead and do it if you want to. I mean, I guess Kanye's over there. Good luck. They not like us.
Oh, Joy.
They not like us.
Joy is a mess. She is always spot on. Welcome to the National Newspaper Publicists Association's Let It Be Known. It is a phenomenon. And the question becomes, can the momentum be sustained? The convention, there's no reason to believe it can't. The convention hasn't even happened. And as Joyanne Reed just pointed out, she has clinched the delegates so that she will be the nominee next month at the convention. But the momentum, even Black men have come home. Some of them still not coming to the picnic, though. Some of them still don't get that invite. We'll work with them. Maybe Aunt Pam will make them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something, and let them sit on the by the tree somewhere, but not in the mix. We working on that. But after last night, and congratulations to Roland Martin and the Black Star Network for being the vehicle in which the Black men stepped up. They, I won't say outshine, because you can't outshine Black women, but they certainly stepped to the plate a day after what was it? 40,000 black women got together and raised 2 million plus dollars last night. Historic gathering. 53,000 plus black men got on the Zoom call, led by Roland Martin and Bakari Sellers, among others. I mean, it was a who's who that was calling in too, including young Maxwell Frost and so many others. But that was something. It's a message, if nothing else. It is a message that we have seen over the last couple of days is resonating in a bad way in the RNC and Trump world, because now there are reports that he is all of a sudden regretting choosing JD Vance as his vice president. But it is resonating hard because they have to pivot. They've had to pivot, and they don't know how to pivot. So they have resorted to doing what they do best, and that is show their racism, their sexism. I mean, Laura Luma and her despicable Megyn Kelly and her despicable uh, commentary about how Kamala got to the top. Give me a break. Every position that Kamala Harris has had, and going back to um, uh, prosecutor, going back to attorney general, was elected. That means that people. So she didn't go around and do favors for millions of people to vote for her. Um, but they pulled out their race and sexist card, and they are letting black women. I mean, not black women, but white women. They're letting white women lead the charge and trying to discredit her. Of course, that old DEI card. She's a DE&I hire. Give me a break. Give me a break. Listen, uh, their version of diversity, equity, inclusion, they all are DE&I hires. All those folks, including Trump. Although he's a product of nepotism, because Fred found him useless too. His father found him useless too, but decided, hey, somebody's got to take over the family business of being racist in chief. But not to detract from really what happened last night. um, was amazing to see, and I surmise that there were some bandwagon jumpers, those who long ago jumped off the bandwagon and now they jump back on because of last night. Um, the 53,000, almost 54,000 folks called in to that discussion. Um, that was amazing. It was simply amazing. Again, a day after 40,000 black women called in, they had to call, and Roland learned the lesson quickly, because with the black women, they had to call the Zoom CEO to get them to open up the Zoom to allow so many to get on. Well, Roland did a preemptive strike. He called way ahead of time and got them to open it up, and open it up. Indeed, they did. And how they went around, how do you get so many to chime in? That's a master stroke. It really is. It is something, and it's so good to see a black owned outlet, which is Roland Martin's Black Star Network, is a black owned network. It's so great to see that happen, not on a CNN. Not that it would happen on a CNN or an MSNBC or an ABC or New York Times or whatever, that it happened on a black owned outlet makes it even more powerful, um, if you ask me. And I think she might have, you have some audio to some of this. Let's take a listen to some of this.
With this organization versus that organization, or this city versus that city. And let's stand up and be the black man that changed this country. We built this country, we built our communities. And now it's time for us to stand up again. And so I'm rocking with Kamala. I love all of you all. I'm glad to have this space to share. I want to say a special thank you to the Big Seven. I want to say a special thank you to Rick Wade and Steve Benjamin. A special thank you to Don Lemon. All of these brothers who are on here from South Carolina. Jamie Devine, Aaron Bishop, Antoine C. Wright, and happy birthday, Jim Clyburn, Sadie Sellers. And I never forget the first person to call me.
We got you, Doc. We got you. We got you. Take your time.
It was Kamala Harris. I'm not sure people understand the pain or the suffering that goes along with being a Black man in this country. I'm not sure people understand what it means to stand strong in this country. I'm not sure people understand what it means to have your back against the wall. But I'm gonna stand with her because she stood with me.
That is for context,
During my
for those
darkest
who may not know.
when I almost lost my daughter.
Yeah, there you go.
When I had to protect my wife. When I had to fight for a Black woman in the hospital. And so now it's my turn. And I really don't care what you all say about there's another Black man crying or this or that or the third. Because every day I'm gonna work damn hard to make sure that tomorrow's better than yesterday.
Yeah. Again, for context, that Bakari Sellers was recounting when his twin daughter was dying, and he almost lost his wife too. And the first person to call him was Kamala Harris. She had his back, he says, and he's definitely going to have her back. David Youngblood said he was on that call, and Mike V says all hands on deck. This is not a drill, and that's what you've been seeing these last couple of days, particularly last night. I think with punctuated, and what also happened last night that went flying under the radar in Atlanta. They had a major gathering of Black men and Black boys discussing this as well. So there is this groundswell, this type of excitement that you have not seen since 2008. And we all know what happened in 2008. And Bakari alluded to the Black men crying. We saw that in 2008. There is this momentum now that is unmistakable, especially if you know, like us, we cover this stuff. And so you're there, you're in the thick of it. And 2 weeks ago, 5 days ago, this type of excitement did not exist. And now you feel it. You feel a wave. Let's hear what this brother's saying. I don't know if we got volume or not on him.
Yes, Roland, you alphas and everybody else. We calling out our organizations. We come together just like I was working for Warnock to help the Divine Nine be able to put him over the finish line when he ran in that historic election. And just like Joe Biden, we all work very hard to be able to get him where he is. That's going to happen again for Kamala Harris. Brother, I'm excited. Let's make sure we turn out the polls, whether it's through our churches, through our nonprofits, our organizations, our businesses, somebody that you know may not have casted a vote in a long time. Don't give up on them. Make sure they know what's at stake in this election. And for us city leaders, I don't know a single mayor across America that is unfamiliar with how impactful the Biden-Harris administration has been to mayors. I know the world's busiest airport has benefited from it. I know the city of Atlanta's roads and infrastructure and the Beltline, as well as all the number of things that we got going on in the city. Our crime rate went down because the American Rescue Plan Act that Biden-Harris put together. So Kamala Harris is at that table, and when she becomes president, she's going to make sure that our cities get just what we need, which is why we were able to reduce our homicide rate by 21%, while we were able to hire all these kids and make sure they have the best year ever with the year of the youth, because of the programs and the policies and the money that came out of Biden Harris. When Harris has it as the presidency, we're really going to take off and do amazing things for Black and brown people and youth and urban communities and all of America. So I'm excited. You can count on me, Roland. Let's continue to keep this thing going. I'm glad to see all these brothers on the call. I watched the sisters last night and they did their thing. And I'm hearing so many conversations that are excited in all the communities that I represent, not just Black communities, but all of them. People are ready to go across America and definitely in the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia.
So I'm reading a comment by Totally Randy, which is it's really she tweeted this 8 hours ago. She says we had to see women do it first, put it in the history books. The warm hug that Black women gave Black men last night was reciprocated tonight. Um, I think people will agree with that. Most people will agree with that. It's always the Black women taking the lead. And here's the other thing. We talked about the momentum, the excitement, and David Youngblood says not a movement, but not a moment, but a movement. Uh, as of 10 hours ago, as we said, Vice President Harris has clinched the nomination, but it took her less than a day and a half. In fact, a day and about 8 hours to raise 231 million. Tristan Snell um, tweets that this was like a political D-Day. We have never seen anything like this. 231 million in 30 hours. 30 hours. Um, there was concern about the money that the Biden Harris campaign had raised, and if he dropped out, where would that money go? We all knew that the only place it could go was to the vice president, and they raised what, a couple of 100 million, a few 100 million, if not more. Because remember, those donors, those big time donors, said they were freezing 90 million of it in an effort to try and push Biden out. Um, So you talk about a war chest because you add that to the 231 million in just less than a day and a half. She is rocking and rolling. And last night that they said we rocking with Kamala Harris, and she is truly rolling. Um, unprecedented stuff. Unprecedented stuff. So again, the see the men and all of this craziness that we've been hearing to this point, to until you know the vice president took over, until President Biden stepped down, but about Black men and Trump and Black people and Trump. um immediately immediately that stuff has gone into the trash bin immediately. um they can't perpetrate that fraud anymore. I mean, you're always going to have your Byron Donalds. Um, not only will Byron Donalds not be at the picnic, there are some people that you just leave them be, as they say. Tim Scott, Mushmouth is what they call them. No, you leave them be. You let them stay where they are. They're in their little comfortable space. But there are many, many who are now jumping back on the bandwagon, as it were. They see what's going on, and the attacks against the vice president. Um, you know what? It's not going to bother her because guess what? Even from within, we've been hearing reports for 3.5 years. Even from within, she's taken fire from within. unwarranted, unwarranted. So the fact that these black men showed up and showed out after the black women, it is amazing that what we're seeing politically, it's a major shift that's been going on. And I want to bring this up too. And this is very, very triggering. I believe Greer has a video. Sonya Massey, I should say. Um, and this is the type of stuff that should galvanize what these black folks are doing, black men and women. And I start by saying that the president, Joe Biden, spoke out on the death of Sonya Massey after the body cam footage showing her shot and killed by a former county sheriff's deputy. The president said in the statement that he is heartbroken and he praised the state's attorney for his office's swift act in prosecution. Sonya Massey was a beloved mother, Biden says, friend, daughter, and young black woman should be alive today, he says. He says Sonya called the police because she was concerned about a potential intruder. When we call for help, all of us as Americans, regardless of who we are or where we live, should be able to do so without fearing for our lives. Sonia's death at the hands of a responding officer reminds us that all too often Black Americans face fears for their safety in ways many of the rest of us do not. Sonia's family deserves justice, and he says, I am heartbroken for her children and her entire family as they face this unthinkable and senseless loss. Now, the president, people say, the president oh, he has to say this. No, he does not have to say this. And he's not saying it for political gain. This has been this administration's uh from day one. From day one, because the day one they signed executive orders about stuff like this. And Congress refused to act on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. This woman, and we're not gonna show the shooting, Greer says, um, but if you watch this,
Not think about your last name. You're not in trouble. I just need to text.
Massey.
Massey. Yeah, you have an ID. That makes things so much easier. I just need just driver's license will do, and then I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
I will get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
Okay. I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID.
Well, let's get your ID first, and then
one task at a time here.
Okay. Let me
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID, one task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
you have that stack right there, maybe.
1 second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Huh?
I rebuke you in the name of
You
Jesus.
better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
yeah, first and foremost, why are they asking her for ID and paperwork when she called about an intruder? Why are they doing that? They had a plan. Listen, it appears to have been a complete execution. You saw the officer point to the other officer basically to take a position somewhere. She had boiling hot water on the stove, and she went to tend to the pot. Um, and you heard, he says, I will shoot you in the face. Where was the threat? What was the threat? And look, so say, and she did not do this. Say she came at them with the boiling water. She did not do this. She did not come at them at all. You saw her standing there. They have tasers. before she got within a certain space in which they could be hurt by that boiling water, they could have tased her. He said, I will shoot you in your face. That was his intention all along. Um, Power 96 says, I've said it before, a black person calling the police, we have a 50-50 chance of survival. No words are truer than that. Mike V says that, what are they going to say? It's the training. And they're running her name, right? They're running her name. Power 96 says they're running her name for warrants. That's why they asked her for ID. The shooter had his body camera off. And in the words of Power 96, that cop was Negro hunting. They have brought charges against these officers and murder charges. And it should be just that. It should be this was a murder. This was an execution. There's they continue to tell us that we don't see what we see on video, that our eyes are lying to us. But in this case, just like so many others, it's clear. It's pretty clear what happened here. And another African American individual who called for help was instead treated like a criminal, treated like an animal, and killed. And people want to talk about um, MAGA. This is all in the MAGA playbook. This is all a part of Project 2025. You will be able to shoot them down, as the former president has said himself. Shoot them down. And you know what that translates to? It translates to put them down. You put animals down, and that's why, folks, you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. And yes, the one of the biggest issues that came up during the George Floyd situation, when they killed George Floyd, was this movement to say, let's eliminate qualified immunity for police officers. And Donald Trump has repeatedly said that he wants to give all law enforcement qualified immunity. He wants to make sure that it remains and it's even stronger than what it is now, meaning that they have the impunity to do what the Supreme Court says he has the impunity to do, and that is just order the death of somebody. So you got to pay attention. Got to pay attention. Um, Thought I'd mention this too today. Was going to mention this yesterday, but so much news going on. But Sean Kingston, I don't know how many of you followed what's going on with Sean Kingston. You might remember about a month ago, authorities in Florida, it was videotaped. They cuffed his mom, took her out of the house, arrested her. And he was in California at the time, and he was extradited back to Florida. He said he and his mom was like, "Oh, this is just a misunderstanding. It's a civil situation, not a criminal situation." Well, lo and behold, um, this is really serious. He's facing federal charges of committing $1 million worth of fraud. Sean Kingston is 34 years old, and his mother, Janice Turner, is 61, and they made their first appearances in federal court this past Friday. A Miami grand jury returned an indictment accusing Sean Kingston and his mother of participating in a scheme to defraud victims of high-end specialty vehicles, jewelry, and other goods through the use of fraudulent documents. He was booked into Broward County jail on similar state charges last month. So he's facing state and federal charges. And they had sent an arrest warrant for him back on May 23rd at Fort Irwin, an Army training base in California's Mojave Desert, where he was performing. Um, his mom was arrested the same day. Remember, like we said, the SWAT team went into their mansion in Fort Lauderdale. According to the indictment, um, Sean and his mom falsely claimed that they had executed bank wire or other monetary payment transfers for high-end items when no such transfers had taken place. Investigators said Kingston and his mother then kept more than $1 million worth of fraudulently purchased items despite not paying for them. The warrants for the state charges say that from October to March, they stole almost $500,000 in jewelry, more than $200,000 from Bank of America, $160,000 from Cadillac Escalade, from a Cadillac Escalade dealer, and more than $100,000 from First Republic Bank, and $86,000 from the maker of customized beds. What in the world is going on in the world of Sean Kingston? Is this idea of being a you know a celebrity and trying to live up to that, keeping up with the Joneses, as it were. Is that the issue? If so, Sean, you and your mom gonna have a long time to think about this in a cage. There will be no more concerts unless you R. Kelly. Did you see R. Kelly? There's a video circulating that with him, apparently him singing, doing sort of like a jail concert, and I mean there was no one around him. It was he's on the floor, I guess, and maybe everybody else was in their cells. Um, but R. Kelly singing in prison, and if that was, with AI and all, but people are saying, yeah, that was different outlets like, yeah, that was R. Kelly. We don't know, but voice sounds amazing. I mean, I've never been a big R. Kelly fan anyway, but talent is talent, and so that will apparently it looks like that might be Sean Kingston's future. If he wants to do any concerts, it will be in a orange jumpsuit and his audience will be entirely men. That's a shame. Um, Power 96 mentions that meanwhile, Amber Rose remains free. She is involved in a crypto scam over 330,000 that we know about. Right. Exactly. Yet she was one of the prime speakers at the RNC, and yet Van Jones uh, praised her speech and her appearance, praised her. And so right, Greer's mentioned about Amber Rose's IG profile pitch. She says we have to stop following people like her. She says she's not black, but her children are. And that's it. Power 96. He says R. Kelly better not be singing. Oh gosh, look at that disgraceful profile picture, Amber Rose. Um, R. Kelly, he says R. Kelly better not be singing "Bump and Grind" in there. He was singing the song that he was singing was another song that folks was social media is unforgiven. They were saying, "Oh my God, what is he singing that for?" It wasn't "Bump and Grind." It was another one of those songs that you wonder if prison is the right place to be singing the song. But but if that was R. Kelly, yeah, I would imagine that much like if you remember Power 96 and others, when Mike Tyson went to prison unjustly, um, when Mike Tyson went to prison, and he talked about this later, people would think, okay, he's Mike, nobody's going to bother him. He talked about this. He says, yeah, there was a couple of people who wanted to test. They wanted to test. And so he got into a couple fights, just simply because he's Mike Tyson. With R. Kelly and folks like R. Kelly, and maybe Yeah, I mean, you could imagine that you got dudes in there. Hey, you gonna sing for us or what? And the pressure gets, gets intense, and so he gets in a position where he may not have had a choice. Yeah, Pierre is running down the list of songs that R. Kelly probably should not be singing. Bump and Grind, you remind me of my Jeep or 12 play. Okay. It's you guys are something else. And speaking of singing, this is a really sad, sad story. Abdul Duke Fakir, the last surviving original member of the beloved Motown group, the Four Tops, has died at the age of 88. The singer died yesterday at his home in Detroit as a result of heart failure, according to his family. His family says that our hearts are heavy as we mourn the loss of a trailblazer, icon, and music legend who, through his 70-year music career, touched the lives of so many. Indeed, he did enjoy a 70-year career in music before retiring earlier this year. And the family says that we find solace in Duke's legacy living on through his music for generations to come. He was the first tenor for the Four Tops with a high, smooth voice, a compliment to baritone lead vocalist Levi Stubbs. The Four Tops was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame way back in 1990 on the strength of being one of the defining groups of the Motown dynasty. With Duke leading on the mic, the Four Tops cranked out a ton of hits, including I Can't Help Myself, Reach Out, I'll Be There, Bernadette, It's the Same Old Song, Standing in the Shadows of Love, and When She Was My Girl. The Four Tops saw three of their founding members die between 1997 and 2005, leaving Duke as the last OG standing. He was preceded in death, of course, by Lawrence Payton, Obie Benson, and of course Levi, all of whom he had known since their teenage years growing up in Detroit. Um, I got to meet Duke. I was doing a book about Stevie Wonder and his mom, and got a chance to. We were went to a show, Temptations in the Four Tops. It was in Hollywood, and we sat backstage talking about Stevie, talking about the Four Tops and Temps, and um, he and Levi were as much a greater singers as they were, a greater performers as they were comedians. and and they got to tell me some stories about pranks that they would pull, but how Stevie was better at pranks than all of them. And one such prank, they would uh, take him into the Motown doorway, the offices, and send them in. They would describe exactly what Diana Ross or another woman was wearing, the color of lipstick, and they would have Stevie go up and say, "Hey, I like your lipstick. That red really fits you well," and blow their minds. And um, people, huh? What? Wait a minute. But these guys were really fun to talk to. I got a chance on a few occasions to talk to them, and Duke seems like I mean, I didn't know them beyond those conversations, but he really seemed to me like he was a really cool cat, as they say. Abdul Duke Fakir. He was 88 years old, and the Four Tops, the um, the group, the legacy continues because you have the replacements that continue to go out and perform under the name the Four Tops. And so they still are really good. They were trained by the best. These replacements were trained by the best. So they continue to go out and carry the legacy of the original Four Tops. So but a big piece of the group has died, Duke Fakir. Folks, thanks for joining. Let it be known. We really appreciate you joining us every day. Again, hit subscribe on our YouTube page and join us again tomorrow. We will bring you some more news and information that you can use. We'll see you then.